Welcome to episode 19 of Pera's Playbook. Today I'm joined by Morgan McMahon of the Colgate women's basketball team. Morgan, how are you?
I'm doing well, Alex. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
I'm really good. Thank you. Yeah. Excited to have, I think you're technically our second Division I women's basketball player. We had one on, but then she transferred to D2. So you're like our only current Division I women's basketball player we've had on the podcast. So
I'm honored.
first,
I'm honored.
yeah, yeah. So I feel like a good place to kind of start our conversation, kind of like the beginning is why Colgate? You're recruiting and coming out of high school, everything. Why'd you end up choosing Colgate?
Yeah. I'm entering my junior year, so it feels like so long ago. But I really loved Colgate just because Colgate's in the Patriot League, which is a super high academically like achieving league. So and school has always been very important to me, and I pride myself on being a great student and just holding myself to high academic standards. So Colgate definitely checked those boxes for me. And I knew I wanted to play Division I, and they're very competitive in the Patriot League. So that was another reason. And it's located in upstate New York, in a small town called Hamilton, New York, about 30 minutes south of Syracuse, 30 minutes to an hour. And it's its own little village. It's a little college town, and I really loved that about Colgate. The small feel of it. Everyone seems
Yeah.
so connected and friendly and welcoming. And yeah, you just felt at home there, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like a beautiful campus too. From like I looked up some
Yeah,
pictures online. It
I'm sure
looks
it's ranked,
beautiful.
and yeah, it's even better in person. The pictures don't do it justice. Like in
Yeah.
the fall with all the trees
Oh
turning,
yeah.
and even in the winter when it gets brutally cold, there's still a lot of beauty in it. So
Yeah.
I love it there.
Oh yeah, of course. So you played in 60 games so far. You've had 22 starts, averaged about 9 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, and about assists per game. So obviously you're playing a lot, but when you start, in those games, it's got to be a different feeling for you to start. Do you know ahead of time, like decent time? Do you just find out that night? Like, how does that usually work out? Is it the day before? When do you usually find out if you're going to start or not?
Yeah. So usually in our prep leading up to games, we'll have there's about 13 players on the team, 13, 14. And so we'll have first and second groups. So typically when you're in that first group, you're going to be starting the upcoming game. So ahead of time. And so the I had a couple starts last season here and there. But my main role last season was six man coming off the bench my sophomore year, and then the latter half of my freshman year, I consistently started games. So um, yeah, it is. I I find peace in both starting and not starting. I feel like when I don't start games, I get a feel of how the game is going. Like what we need. Coming off the bench. Like I think my main role was offense. Like as soon as I came in the game, I'm more of a scorer,
Yeah,
So when I came off the bench, I knew I had to get our team points, and that was my role last season for the
yeah,
majority of the time.
right. Does your team do any like handshakes or anything when you're like announcing the starting lineup and everyone kind of like runs? Do you have special handshakes?
We do. I think mine is typically, um, I think I went with like a shoulder bump, like very, very like
Yeah.
very unoriginal, but yeah, it's either a shoulder bump or like a flex or something. Yeah, very,
Yeah.
very bland.
It's got to be kind of like awesome and almost surreal when you hear your name called. Like when they announce the starting lineups, you hear your name called, you're like, oh, it's me. Like I'm in this moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like that's only something you dream of as a kid, like when
Yeah.
you start having these goals for yourself. When you come into the college game from high school, everyone tells you, it's going to be hard to get playing time. It's going to be hard to even like start a game, but all you've done your entire life is start and play the entire game, especially at the Division I level. Like you've been the best player on your team up to this point, and so you know nothing other than starting. So it is very humbling coming in, and having to work your way back up there for sure. So it is well fought for sure.
Yeah. That's good segue into another point I had. I mean, what is the biggest difference, or what did you notice is the biggest difference? Maybe the hardest adjustment to kind of go together between high school basketball and Division One women's college basketball.
Yeah, like I think I have a couple, but like I just said, like having to come in and prove yourself all over again.
Yeah,
You know, during the recruiting process, like they talk your ear off how good you are and stuff like that. And I'm sure it's true, and they really do have a vision for you, but you have to prove it. You know,
yeah,
you aren't just gonna get a starting role because of your name or how you played in high school, or if you were an All American or Gatorade Player of the Year or whatever. Like you're still gonna have to prove yourself and go against girls who've been there for 3 or 4 years. So that in itself is a battle. And then just kind of the mental game too, like what you're telling yourself during that process. It's really hard to go through, but you're stronger because of it for sure. And then also the importance of defense and rebounding in the college game is huge. I I could pretty much get away with not playing defense in high school and travel and club ball and stuff like that. So that was a huge adjustment. And my team personally prides ourselves on defense. So it's something my coach harps on all the time. And if you can't play defense, you're not going to play for her. So that's something I still have to improve on for sure.
yeah. That point you brought up about, like having to get used to not starting. It's kind of like what the saying is, like you're like in high school, you're kind of like the big fish in the pond, but then you like get to college and now you're in the ocean because you're playing
Literally.
against Division One. I mean, women. You're playing against the best women's basketball players in the country who
Yeah.
aren't playing
Yeah.
professionally. Like,
Yeah.
there's no one
You're
better
playing
other
like
than
the top
pros.
5%. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
You're playing the top 3, 5% of the country, and whether like that's such a blessing, but you have to. It's you got to claw your way up to the top. That's for sure. It's a battle.
Right. And a lot of the girls you are playing against end up playing pro. Like you're playing against the best of the best, and
Yeah,
it's
for sure,
it's a
for sure.
grind.
Yeah, it is, but it's all worth it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. When you put in that work and you get to step out onto that court and play in a game, and then when you win, it makes it even better. I mean, like you said, it's all
Yeah,
worth it in the end.
it is. Yeah, yeah,
Life
for sure.
memories and experiences and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So your team had a pretty big turnaround from your first year to this past season. You guys were 6-24 to 16-14. And then in this past season, you also had 9 losses that were 10 points or less, like a lot of games that you were right there. So, you took a huge step. What do you think was the reason behind that? Or like, do you think there were multiple kind of factors from that one season to the next on what led you guys to take that big step?
Yeah, I was definitely, I feel, a mix of factors for sure. One of them being we had a so the coach that recruited me throughout high school actually got fired my senior year of high school. So he left, so we had a brand new coach my first year. So that comes with its challenges.
Yeah.
Um, just in of itself, we were very young. We had 3 freshmen in the starting lineup, so that goes to show like we were we were just very inexperienced, I guess. In that sector, we were up against teams who had seniors and then fifth years and everything in between. So um, that was a struggle for us. We had a lot of injuries too. Um, Everyone deals with that, but it kind of hit us in a hard way. Um, and I think just like team culture too, like that all changed like the summer going into last year. So like we were practicing differently, like lifting differently, conditioning differently. So all of that contributed to this huge turnaround that nobody expected. We were picked like I think seventh or something like that. We ended up I think fourth uh by the time we got to the postseason tournament. So that goes to show you nobody expected it. Nobody counted on us to turn things around but ourselves. So we knew we were putting in the work and that it was going to show eventually. So yeah, we stuck to that and just grinded, and that's how we did a total 360. And I think there's another one coming this season for sure.
Yeah, and that makes it even harder having like a new coach to improve that quickly. Like that's actually it's really
Hmm.
impressive because your team's obviously not used to that coach, and there's growing pains. A lot of coaches sometimes when there's a new coach, there's like multiple years of the team just being worse because there's a new coach trying to figure things out. So you guys kind of had
Yeah,
your one like growing pain year and then you leaped forward the next year. That's really awesome. And like you said, there's other one coming. Like you guys have motivation for the next season.
yeah,
You know what you
definitely.
were capable of. You know how close you were in a lot of those games. You know where you guys could have been 25 and 4 or whatever, like the record. Like you guys were that close. You know that moving into the next season, and those are the little things you can work on and fix.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think like we had a pretty lengthy summer session this summer, just trying to clean those things up. Just like those less than 10-point losses are the ones that hurt the most. The ones that you had and then they slipped away, or you had to play catch up and just couldn't finish the job. Like those those losses were the worst sometimes. So just trying to eliminate those to the best of our abilities. And yeah, everyone has just bought into what the program is about and what we're trying to build, so that has helped as well.
Yeah, yeah, I can't imagine. It's a good feeling to like be in a game and then just watch it slip away, even though you're like doing everything you can, but for some reason you just can't hit your shots or you can't do
Yeah.
whatever. And
Hmm.
like that's got to just be a horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a horrible feeling, especially, when you're in it the whole time and then it just gets away from you in the end. And it more times than likely it was just, our shots weren't falling. We couldn't get a bucket, like just things like that. So just trying to work on some of that just to not even put ourselves in that position.
Yeah, right. It's easy once you get out of rhythm. Sometimes it's hard to like get back into rhythm, especially
Yeah,
towards the end of the game.
exactly.
Like you don't have enough time to like really. If you're kind of out of rhythm at halftime, you can like figure it out, and you got a whole nother half to play. But if you got a couple minutes left and you lose it, it's like it's hard to rebound
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, definitely.
So your team went overseas and did a trip. Were you guys playing games over there against teams, sightseeing, all the above?
Yeah, all of the above pretty much. We played two games both in Italy. So we went to Italy and Greece over a span of 10 days. So in Italy, we went to Florence and Naples. We played one game in Florence and one game in Naples. Our first game was against a Spanish select team. Um, they both teams were, I'd say, definitely postgraduate girls. I'd say, early to mid 20s. So they were great competition, very competitive. We ended up losing both games, but both were very competitive, and we got some good film out of it, know what we need to work on. And um, overall, the experience was amazing game wise, playing against those girls. And yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome for sure.
You guys get to
And then
do
we,
much sightseeing, or like was it all like
yeah,
like a little bit, or what was the? I mean, how long were you there? I guess.
it was, we were there so we were in Italy for about, I want to say 5 or 6 days, and then Greece for the rest of it. I'd say majority of the time we were over there, we were sightseeing and doing all the touristy stuff. So we did bike tours, we did museum tours. We got to see the Statue of David in Florence, which was really cool. Um, got to see. We were in Rome as well in Italy. We were just there for a couple hours because our flight landed in Rome. And then we did a Colosseum tour, which was super informative, very, very cool to see that in person. And then we went to Naples and did like a pizza making class because Naples is where pizza originated from. So that was really cool. Ate a lot of gelato, lots of good food, like the whole time. Like that was one of my
Yeah.
favorite parts.
Oh
Was the
yeah.
amazing food. um and just like trying different things, things we don't get here in the States. Like just the whole experience was super informative and very, very fulfilling. And yeah, and then in Greece, we went to Athens and then Glyfada, which is not too far from Athens. We saw the Acropolis. Um, did a boat hopping tour or island hopping tour, sorry. And then just got to chill at the beach the last 1 or 2 days, which was really nice to cap it off.
Yeah, that sounds like an awesome trip. And Lou, you're talking about the food and what we don't get in the States. I mean, yeah, most of the
Hmm.
food we as a fake Italian. It's like the American
Yeah,
Italian or
yeah.
American Greece. It's not really
Hmm.
like anyone who's ever been somewhere in Europe knows that food we have here is really not. It's not the same. It's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah. It's like chicken parm doesn't even exist over there. Like I didn't even see it
yeah,
on any of the menus that we went to.
yeah.
But we got like gelato and tiramisu, of course, and yeah, definitely made it super special for ourselves. And we work really hard, so it's good to have these like amazing experiences to
Yeah, and I'm
show
sure
it
it's good
pays off.
for team bonding too. Like you go on a
Oh,
trip
absolutely.
overseas, like it's not
It's a
like you're
lot of
just
time together. Yeah.
yeah, right. There's no
Yeah,
escape either because you're
you're
all
in a plane for
overseas.
12 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing. It was exhausting, but in the best way. And
Oh yeah.
definitely the jet lag hits hard when you come back home. So
Yeah. Yeah, but it is worth it. It definitely is worth
oh yeah. Oh yeah. I
it.
would do it any day.
Yeah. So in a sports sense, what's your favorite season of the year? You winter, fall, summer, spring? What do you like the most?
I'm definitely a summer girl for sure. I think just this like the sun being out, it just puts you in a better mood. So
It
I
does.
definitely feel that. And just the warmer weather. And like I said, like winters get very brutal up in New York. So it's good to see the sun for a couple months and just soak it
Yeah.
all in before it turns gloomy again. But yeah, I'm definitely a summer girl. Love the 4th of July. My birthday's in July, so it's really the best of both worlds with summer. Yeah.
It's like hard to feel happy or motivated when it's not sunny. Like I feel like I'll go to
I
work
feel
on a
that.
day that's
Yes.
like rainy and gloomy. I'm just not motivated to work. Like I
It really
want to.
does affect your mood. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. And
It's
it makes like your skin gets like all pale. Yeah, it's just
right. You're
very
stuck
gloomy in the
inside.
winter.
And when you go outside, you have to have 18 layers on. And then, like you said, you're like all pale. And then when summer finally does hit, you can't tan right away because you just burn to a crisp.
Right,
It's
right.
like,
You gotta ease yourself into it and
yeah.
just take it slow. Yeah, yeah,
And you're like looking at Instagram at all the people who live in like 20, like
yeah.
365 days a year areas, and they're like tan all the time because they're out at the
Hmm.
beach. And then you're like, I am literally paler than the snow. Like it is like,
Yeah, exactly. And it hurts your eyes when you walk outside because the sun
yeah.
is glaring off the snow. Yeah, yeah.
Only people from like New England areas or like the Midwest would really understand what we're talking about.
I know, I know. It's directed toward a specific audience. They don't
Yeah.
really understand our struggle.
No, they don't. What's your favorite movie or TV show? I know some people are like, I like movies that don't like TV shows or vice versa, or both if you love both.
I'm not really a movie person, to be honest. I will like oh, we just saw the Barbie movie. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was cute and funny. Um, but I've been wanting to see Oppenheimer, and that has a very good chance of being my favorite movie. I'm a big nerd, so I love like
Oh yeah, history and
dramatized history.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So waiting to see that one. I'm excited about it. And then for TV show, I love The Office. I think that's my favorite like comedy TV show.
Yeah.
Um, but then overall, I um always watched Madam Secretary
Okay.
for a while. So like I said, like big nerd, like kind of dramatized politics, like I'm very much into that. So yeah, it would have to be that one or I'm starting Scandal the on Netflix. I think it's on maybe Hulu. But yeah, anything like that, I'm very much into.
I really want to see Oppenheimer too. I've heard really good things about it.
Yes,
A lot of people are saying it's Christopher Nolan's best movie, and he's got a lot of good movies. So I think that's high
right,
praise. The
right.
cast is amazing. I mean,
Hmm.
Cillian Murphy and Robert Downey Jr. and Matt Damon and Emily Blunt and all. It is like an unreal
Lots
cast.
of
And
heavy hitters in this
yeah,
movie. Yeah.
exactly. You really can't like. I feel like it's hard to make a bad movie if you have a good cast. Like
Oh, for sure.
so.
For sure. Like you can't mess that up. You cannot mess that up.
Right. And the fact that it's like 3 hours long and
I
everyone
know.
loves it is also like because a lot of times a
That
long
carries
movie
some
kind of
weight. Yeah.
right. Yeah. So when it like people love it, it's long, you're like, all right, it has to be good. It has to
Right.
be.
Right. It's worth your time. It's worth your
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So I'm excited
definitely
about that one.
yeah. No, yeah, that looks really good. I wanna see it. So I'm on board.
Yeah. Yeah.
um what about music? What kind of music do you like?
That depends what mood I'm in, like what I'm doing, I guess. When I'm working out or lifting or something, it's always has to be rap or hip hop, like something
Okay.
very upbeat, like
Yeah.
really gets me fired up. And like sometimes when I'm in like driving or whatever, I'll turn on some rap. But I've started to get into country music, and that's owed to my teammates because some of them are very obsessed. And they have got me on. I swore off country music. I think I was like, people who like this are weird, like, but I'm really getting into it, and
That
especially in
that's
the
true.
summer,
That's true for a lot of
it's
people. There's a lot of people who
yeah,
are like country haters, and then their teammates listen to it and they're like, "Oh, it's kind of not that bad." They get like
yeah.
kind of sucked into it.
I can get into this. Yeah, that's exactly the transition I'm going into. But yeah, I'll listen to that when I'm driving or um like today's hits, like that kind of stuff. Like when I'm driving, I'll turn that on. So yeah, it really depends what I'm doing with music. But yeah, pregame always rapping, trying to get me pumped up. So
Yeah, I feel like how does Jimmy Butler? It was somebody. I might be Jimmy. I don't want to be like say it like I'm confident it was Jimmy Butler, but I think it was Jimmy Butler. There was something with like country music and warm up music and the team, and I can't remember how it went exactly. If he was playing it because he was like sick of listening to his teammates' music and he was like trying to annoy them, but then he actually ended up being a fan. It was something like along those lines. Now he's a country fan. Like it started off as like I want to
wow.
I think it was Jimmy Butler, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, well, I think it was like around the time of like the Final Four or something, but I guess Caitlin Clark listens to country music before games. I don't think I could ever get behind that, but it works for her, obviously.
Yeah, it's not really
So
hype. Like,
right. I think her whole thing was that it like kind of calmed her down in a sense,
yeah,
like kind of
yeah, I
like
guess.
got her headed like kind of mellowed the mood, I guess, made her less
Right, everyone's
anxious,
got
maybe.
their different way of how to warm up. Some people like to sit alone, like they have their AirPods
Hmm.
in, and they're just, and other people are getting all hyped up and crazy and like wild and
Yeah,
whatever works, whatever gets you ready for your
exactly.
game,
And if
go for it.
it works. Yeah.
Yeah, don't
Don't
question it.
listen to the haters on that. No,
Yeah.
don't mess with your mojo.
No, exactly. Because then you change it, and all of a sudden you throw your game off.
Yeah,
Can't do that.
exactly. Yeah, no, don't mess with that. Yeah, if it works for her, obviously she's amazing. But yeah, I'm definitely I probably couldn't get behind country music before a game. I think
Yeah,
it's a little too mellow.
yeah. No, it definitely works for her. I mean, she's unreal. She's so fun to
Yeah.
watch. She like takes the
Oh,
game
yeah.
to another level. I mean, it's really incredible. It's
Yeah, it is amazing to watch. It is amazing to
yeah.
watch.
The women's tournament was really fun to watch. This it was really competitive. Like I feel like there were some years where it was kind of like everybody knew who was gonna win, and
Right.
kind of
The
takes it out of
Yukon
it.
controlled years. Yeah.
Right. But like this past, I mean, there were a lot of big upsets. It was like I don't know, my women's bracket was horrible. It was
Right.
like it started off really good. I was like, oh yeah, I got it, and then it's tanked.
Yeah, I feel like with the women's tournament in comparison to the men, like the men you see more upsets in like the first and second rounds. Like you see
Yeah.
more Cinderella stories. With the women's side, it's not so much that case. Like usually your lower seeds are gonna lose the first couple rounds. And then you get to the more like
Right.
kind of upsets, I guess, more ability for excitement in that way, bracket busting or whatever. But yeah, I think I like kind of took notice to that this year. I was like, wow, there's a lot more upsets in the like the early rounds of the men's tournament and not so much in the women's game. Like that's in like, but the women's game, like the upsets come later in a sense, like
Yeah. And some of them this year felt bigger. Like when
right.
Stanford fell, like that was like, oh
Yeah.
wow. And like
Yeah.
some of those teams that people expected to go so far. I guess on the men's side too, though, when Purdue lost, everyone was like, what?
Exactly. Yeah. That was crazy. That was
It was just
wild.
a weird year for college basketball. Like everyone's brackets were busted. So I
Hmm.
mean, it was a crazy year for college basketball on both sides. But I think that's good. You need that. Like
It keeps people engaged.
yeah, fans
Yeah.
don't want the like, oh, it's UConn, hooray, or
Exactly. Like
it's
you were saying.
Duke
Yeah.
or whatever. Like college football is getting to that point with like Alabama, Georgia. People are, I
Hmm.
feel like, kind of getting sick of it. And you look at pro sports, it's the same thing. People get like, I don't know. I was a huge Patriot hater when Tom Brady was there because they just won all the time.
Me and you both. Yeah.
What's your favorite team if you had to pick?
In the NFL, it's got to be the Steelers. Um,
Okay.
my dad's a big Pittsburgh fan, so
Yeah.
Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, all that stuff. But
Oh, yeah.
for with the MLB, so I had an internship down in DC this summer. So we went to a Nats game one day, and now I feel like I'm a Nats fan. I feel like that's the definition of a bandwagon, but I
Well,
feel like
but you have a reason now. Somebody say, "Why are you a fan?" You're
I
like, "Well,
feel
I went to a
connected,
game." Yeah,
Yeah,
you are. Yeah, you're connected. Like,
yeah,
I'd say I'm mainly a Diamondbacks fan, but I'm also a White Sox fan because I've been to a couple White Sox games like that. I don't know. You
yeah.
feel
Like
more
it's
connected to the
just
team when you're there.
yeah, yeah. If you're there, like if I was like you said, like a I've never been to a White Sox game. Like, why would I want to be a
Right.
White Sox fan? You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really. I don't watch baseball a whole lot, not until like the World Series.
It's so
But
long. The season's
it
so
is a
long.
really long season. Same thing with hockey. I'm a Penguins fan. I will take the Penguins with the NHL, but I really won't watch a whole lot of games until Stanley Cup playoffs time. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I'll watch the beginning because it's like hockey's back, and then I'll watch the end. In the middle, sometimes it's kind of
it
like,
gets a little monotonous. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think
I'll
the
check up here and there,
sports,
see how they're doing. Like Penguins didn't even make the playoffs this year, so
yeah.
um, yeah, that was disappointing. But yeah, you got to check here and there just to make sure they're
Right.
doing okay.
But it's like the people who actually watch like every game for their team that's devotion. Like,
Oh yeah, mad respect to you. Like
yeah,
maybe I don't know professional sports. Like I don't watch a whole lot of the NBA. I'll be honest. Like it's just um like long season, like you said. Like it's just hard to stay with it religiously.
yeah. I don't know, for me, like I love the skill and the talent, but I don't like the way the game is gone and like the way it's played
Hmm.
compared to like college ball. I love there's more defense and like
Yes,
you get the lower
just more
scoring
competitive.
games.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's more competitive. I mean, like mad respect to the guys in the NBA. They can shoot the lights out and they can ball handle like no other. But
yeah,
sometimes it's like, okay, that guy got the rebound, he takes it the whole way and he scores. And now that guy got the rebound, he takes it the whole way and he scores. And like, I don't know.
yeah,
I don't like 130 to 120 as much as I like 70 to
yeah.
65.
I'll I'll pick a college game over the NBA any day. That's
Right.
for sure.
I feel like I really don't
Yeah,
follow the NBA until the finals. And then it's like,
exactly.
okay,
Or
finals are
the
here.
playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. Yeah. College is just, but like college basketball, it's always a thrill. You never know what's going to happen.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that one for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Agreement. It's always good. Do you have any personal goals or team goals for this upcoming season, or both? You got a personal and a team?
Yeah, I think team wise, the goal is always to go the whole way. And you know, we like you said, like the growth we made in 2 years, like I feel personally like we can make a huge stride again this season. So in the Patriot League, like we were just talking about, there's no like one blue blood. Like it's up in the air every season, and whoever puts the work in is it's gonna show in the end. So we've been doing that. So and I think like with all the like transferring is big and right now in 5th years and everything like that, and a lot of teams have lost a lot of good players to the transfer portal and have graduated a lot of their best players, and we haven't. So I think that has kind of gone our way in a sense. So I think we have a leg up on other teams in the league this year, like connection wise. Like yeah, we've been together for a while now, so we have that going for us.
Yeah, right. Now's the time.
Yeah, yeah, and then personally for me, regardless of my starting status, I still want to continue to be a scoring threat for the team. Like that's been my role my whole career there, and so I still want to be that for them, and also just up my rebounding and defensive presence too. That's been something I've been trying to work on the past 2 years, and I've made big strides in that area in the latter half of last season specifically. So that's something I want to see for myself this year.
Yeah, definitely. I think those are perfect goals to have. They're in reach, and everybody's got to
Hmm.
watch out for Colgate women's basketball this upcoming
Yeah,
season.
that's for sure. That's
Gonna
for
bring
sure.
the heat.
Something's brewing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Morgan, thank you very much for coming on this podcast and joining me. It was great.
No, thank you so much. Really appreciate